Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Indie Kid coming at you. Just want to break down a little bit about this Tim Banks hire today. Try to bring some positive spin on it. But before I get into any of that, make sure you check out Talkin VAWLS. We'll be going live Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check it out. Tune in with us. Hopefully, we'll have a full staff announcement at that point that we can kind of break down the staff. We do know majority of it at this point, but there are still some unfilled positions. But make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe, and make sure you check us out on Twitter, Talkin VAWLS_podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so we'll keep you up to date on that as well. And then make sure you check out the merchandise store, as it is up to date right now as well. And we'll provide the link. The link is on the social media pages there as well. But just going to kind of get into this Tim Banks hire. As I'm not going to sit here and tell you that was the first choice. I don't know that it was or not, but I think it's a good hire. I've kind of got the same opinion I do with Josh Heupel with it. I think based on the circumstances and stuff, I think we did pretty good on this hire. And just kind of looking at some of the background, Tim Banks, his defenses have statistically been pretty decent. He was, I've seen drawback, but I know what the drawbacks are. One of them, he was on a Butch Jones staff at Cincinnati. Automatically, it seems like if anybody's associated with Butch Jones, people don't like him. Keep this in mind. I've seen Penn State. It seems their fans were kind of split on it. Anytime somebody leaves, fans are either some are going to like it that they're leaving, some are not. Right there, I've seen some even going on. Central Florida hit a home run with Malzahn. It's a good hire for them. It doesn't mean it's a good hire. Would have been a good hire for Tennessee, though. A good hire for one program does not necessarily translate to the other. Right there, and that hire allows Malzahn to. But I, from what I've gathered, Central Florida people aren't real happy about it. So, just seems they were happy to get rid of Heupel. It seems they were, but whatever, man. Fan bases are going to do what they do. Most fan bases aren't happy with anything. But anyhow, back to Tim Banks right here. He's had 6 defensive backs selected in the NFL draft the last 4 years. Prior to joining the staff, he was defensive coordinator at Illinois from 2012 to 2015, Cincinnati from 2010 to 2011, and Central Michigan 2007 to 2009. So he did work with Butch Jones for a few years before he went to Illinois. He's worked different places. He's worked at Maryland. He's worked at Memphis. He's worked at Bowling Green along the way. So the guy is known as a very, very good recruiter. He's from, I think he's up around the Detroit area, so he's got some ties there. He has pulled some guys in from there up to Penn State. He did they are paying him some good money. He got a 3-year contract right here. It looks like he's getting paid $4.2 million right there. So that's $1.4 million per year. I don't think it's averaging out. I think it's going to be kind of stepped up along the way, if I'm not mistaken, on that. But him and Alex Golish, the offensive coordinator, those are both the only 3-year deals so far. Now the question is, where do they go from here? You've got Tim Banks, you've got Rodney Garner. That's 2 top-notch recruiters right there. It's 2 good coaches as well. And we can look back at Banks' defenses over the year at Illinois or wherever, and the numbers probably aren't that great. But one thing I've got, Illinois has not been a strong program, so that's, kind of is what it is right there. But, he has had some good defenses along the way. He's had some good defenses at Penn State. He was a part of it. He may not have been the play caller at Penn State, but he was heavily involved there as well. But, a guy that's been around for a while, he's 49 years old. He's been around. He's recruited at high levels right there. From what I've gathered, this is considered a loss for Penn State. I guess it depends on who you talk to. Maybe some will say it is, some isn't. But, the general consensus I get is it is a loss for Penn State. But now you've got Tim Banks, you've got Rodney Garner, and I'd be curious to see where they go from there. whether people are going to speculate on names based on past. I mean, you may see some guys come in who have worked at Tennessee before. It may be guys who've never worked at Tennessee before. But, I don't get to backlash with this hire. This guy's more experienced than Al Washington is. Al Washington's never called plays. Now, Al Washington's never been a defensive coordinator. There's John House, who's Kansas City Chiefs, so we thought maybe it was him. But, one of the things I read with him was when he left Kentucky, Mark Stoops questioned, does this guy really want to put in the work to work in the SEC? Maybe that's why he went to the NFL. So I think you've got to factor that in there as well. Now, who else have they talked to? I'm not sure. There was, Casey Rogers. There was him. People mentioned Josh Conklin. I'll be honest, I like Conklin. When he was here, I went to one of the orange and white games the year he was there. He was a super nice guy. He's over at Wofford now. I kind of wondered how that dynamic would start with Wofford's season beginning this coming weekend. I don't know how you could have up and left, but I think this was just, I don't know how his name got floated and people got behind it, but I don't know that he was ever a serious candidate right there as well. And, I would love to know how many people they contacted and how many got turned down who are not. Banks may have been one of their top candidates. I'm not saying they got turned down a lot, but I definitely think they did some. I think Al Washington and maybe House and Rogers, I think that was maybe 3 of them. But I think considering the circumstances, we got a guy with experience. We got a guy who is a high-level recruiter, right? You pair him with Rodney Garner, that's 2 top-notch recruiters right there. And I would imagine there will be some more recruiters as well come on staff. So it kind of looks like Banks Specialties defensive backs right here. The defensive backs needs help. Of course, we had supposedly 2 defensive back gurus for a head coach and a defensive backs coach last couple years, and it didn't look like it. It most certainly did not look like it this past year. But it's just going to require patience. I would say this, quick comparing Tennessee's hires to everywhere else. This program is in the dumps right now. It's not the Tennessee we remember from the 90s or even early 2000s. It's just not. And, there's backlash. Well, we had Kevin Steele. Why not use him? Maybe Kevin Steele and Heupel were, there was a clash there. I don't know. Josh Heupel and Danny White did not hire Kevin Steele. And Philip Fulmer had some plan to where Kevin Steele was probably going to be the head coach here had Philip Fulmer not have gotten fired as well. That's my thought of it, is he knew Jeremy Pruitt was getting fired. They can say they brought Steele in here as a neutral guy who wasn't involved with the allegations, but I'm pretty sure the plan, and we've discussed it on Talkin VAWLS before, the plan was Kevin Steele was going to be the head coach here. And, when Heupel didn't bring it, Heupel doesn't have to keep Kevin Steele. If it's conflict of interest, if it's a clash of styles or something, so be it. Kevin Steele is a good defensive coordinator. Maybe he's not what Josh Heupel wants, and I think we got to let Josh Heupel make his decisions right there. I don't get the gnashing of teeth or anything right there. So, we'll see how it goes or whatever, but I think, based on what they're doing, I like Heupel. I think he has a chance for success. Will there be some speed bumps along the way? Absolutely. There definitely could be. But he has coached in the conference. He understands the conference. And he has had high-level success with his offense in this conference. Tim Bank, you've got Garner. Garner's been in the conference for years. Tennessee's glory year was with glory years. Rodney Garner recruited some of the main guys there. He was big in Georgia. Right there, Rodney Garner has recruited a lot of good guys to Auburn. He was there when Georgia started getting going on the right foot as well, when Mark Richt started turning it around. So, we'll see where they go with linebacker and secondary. But I like what they're doing. I like that Heupel's bringing his guys with him, because I thought Butch Jones had the most success at Tennessee when he brought his guys with him. When he started trying to please the fan base and make other hires, that's when it started affecting the hires. So I appreciate the fact that they're not listening to the fan base on this, because the fan base is not going to be happy with, every hire. But, at least give it a chance. It's, so many want Jeremy Pruitt gone, and now you're going to complain about this. This is an upgrade, guys. What they've done so far is an upgrade. I think it's, guys, I remember last year when Tracy Rocker and Chris Rump left, people throw up that they were lazy and didn't want to recruit. They were two of the top recruiters on staff, and they coached their hind ends off last year. So, the grass is not always greener and stuff in that regard, because those two guys were losses. But I like what's going on down here. I think it's going to be an aggressive defense. It's going to be a fast-paced offense. And you need guys who can coach as well as recruit, and that's what they've brought in, especially on this defensive side of the ball. I'm not familiar a lot with these guys on the offensive side of the ball, but they are guys who've been with Heupel. They're familiar. They've had a lot of success on offense. If it's not broke, you don't fix it right there. Obviously, he didn't have good defense at Central Florida. He's bringing in new defense there. The offense was top 10 nationally every year he was there. He's not, there's nothing to fix right there. He brought his guys with him as well as he should have there. But just want to kind of hit some positives on this, because I know people not totally sold on this hire. They're not sold on Heupel. And I'm not, it is a prove me deal with it. I'm the same as anybody else. I've got to see it. But I do like this hire much better than what we've had before here. I think we got some potential. It's going to take some time. But there's also some talent on this team. I'm not sitting here telling you they're going to win 9-10 games next year, but there's enough talent to go get to a bowl game if we're not banned from a bowl next year and even the year after. There's definitely enough talent to go win at least 6 games next year, especially based on the schedule. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure, again, we're going live Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you check out the merchandise store as well. And appreciate you guys tuning in. Y'all take care, and I will see you tomorrow night.